Hello, everybody. Scott Golden here with the Golden Opportunities Coaching YouTube channel. Welcome to those of you who are new around here. Welcome back to those of you seasoned veterans of what we do. There are 1,400 of these available for your listening pleasure. We try to add as often as we can, usually several times per week. I get a lot going on, so might not be here a little bit. But anyhow, we've got over 1,400 stuff for you to check out in any way. Signs you grew up with anxiety is today's audio. And then we got a bunch of stuff from the Life Lesson series. Would love to be of assistance to you in any way I can, including life, business, relationship coaching in whatever form it takes. Please feel free to reach out at PO Perception on Twitter or in the About Me section of the YouTube page. Either way, it gets you where you need to be. The first thing is you're used to chaos. Look, people that deal with a lot of anxiety are constantly having to move. They're constantly having to grow. They're constantly having to be ahead of what would be normal, natural, or typical for a person. And so when you're used to having to be that, when you're used to having to be kind of driven towards the idea of, kind of being there from I wouldn't even say better space, but a space that's going to lead you where you really want to go. And you're not necessarily used to identifying how to connect, it can be difficult. And if you're always dealing with chaos, then you're always dealing with worry. When is the next chaotic thing I've got to deal with? When is the next thing that I've got to de escalate? Because a lot of times what happens is people begin to understand that their life is a series of escalations and de escalations. Their life is a series of what's next? What do I have to tackle next? What's in front of me? What do I have to deal with? I don't really want to deal with any of this, but I don't really feel like I have a choice. And so that becomes problematic for a number of reasons, obviously. And then the next thing kind of there is looking at it from the standard of always looking at negatives. Look, there's a lot of things to be negative about in our world. Our world is probably more divided than it ever has been in recent human history, at least several decades. But that doesn't mean that there can't be good things in the midst of the negative stuff. And so, if a person is constantly looking for the negative, chances are they've been through a great deal of anxiety. Chances are they've been through a great deal of stress because they're looking for that way to protect themselves. Again, the more self-protective a person is, the more anxiety they went through as a younger person, because becoming self-protective becomes their default mechanism, or the way in which they see the world, the way they feel they have to be in order to protect themselves on a consistent basis. It doesn't necessarily have to be factually accurate to be true for them. Again, just because something is actually true doesn't necessarily mean that the person is ready to deal with the emotions of it or the struggle of it. And so when we begin to map that out, when we begin to understand that, there's a lot of value in that process, and kind of make something happen there, and kind of getting things going in a direction for the day, from the day, and ultimately kind of being where we need to be in a good way, or in a way that is beneficial. And so a lot of times what happens too is people begin to understand their world through the view of what may need to come next, or what they need out of life, or what is coming there. And so when one is constantly in anxiety, they're always looking for ways to fill needs, they're ways to fill voids, for lack, value there. And it can be problematic. It can be difficult. It can be valuable to know that we have limitations that we're kind of running from to some degree. When we run from limitations, it's always a good way to kind of look at life in a new way, and kind of see ourselves from a meaningful direction there, and knowing where to be, how to be, what to do, and where to do it. And so there's challenges as we begin to connect on a level of understanding within ourselves, acknowledging also that we don't have the ability to concentrate, and that we tend to feel the need to separate from others is another factor. So the lack of concentration is because we're always in an anticipatory flight or freeze mode, and then that anticipatory mode leads to challenges going forward. So hopefully this is helpful. I encourage you keep your feet on the ground, your mind in the moment. Until next time, everybody.